We know that the Energy Transition Programme has a roadmap to carbon neutrality by 2060. We also know very well that the country has set the sail through the NUPRC through their gas commercialization program by licensing some companies who are also going to be involved in the process. We also know that Nigeria plans to use natural gas as a transition fuel and pathways to net zero emissions in 2060. Because one, gas is considered a cleaner energy source, which is better than oil and coal in terms of carbon dioxide emissions, and therefore will provide a cleaner alternative. And to ensure that it meets the commitment to lowering fossil fuel emissions, it has deployed the gas flare commercialization program to capture flare gas, which has a devastating effect on humanity and the planet. The captured gas will then be processed as an energy source. This, if concluded, will provide 4 advantages or more to the country if birthed. 1, it will create more jobs. 2, it will reduce carbon emissions. 3, it will boost the country's economic power. And lastly, it will be a variable energy source cleaner than coal or oil. The Nigerian ETP outlines a comprehensive strategy to achieve carbon neutrality by 2060, focusing on reducing emissions across critical sectors such as power, transport, and the industry. It also identifies significant investment opportunities in renewable energy products, including solar, IPPs, decentralized renewable energy programs, and clean cooking solutions. Everyone is talking about having just an equitable transition. But from our perspective, perceptions, and body language, most of the brains behind the push for early decarbonization, which also has gas in its family, is dwindling. For instance, there was a presentation by Aaron Sain some time ago, and in one of those papers, he said that though investors are willing to support renewable finances, yet Africa only has 3% of the total expended by all these investors in the world. Just 3%. And when you look at the map of Africa, people may think Africa is a little bit small, but Africa is larger than so many continents. But in terms of what we are doing, therefore, do they really have the type of opportunity to assess the type of funds they need to do what they need to do? More worrisome is that lenders charge African countries and companies up to 7 times more than they do in Europe or North America. The result is that Africa has at least 40% of world solar potential, but only 1% of all solar panels. I think that's a paradox. You have the raw materials, but you have 1% of what the outcome is in terms of what people see and use. So the question then is, how do we care for vulnerable communities, which includes providing vocational training and financial incentives for youth and local businesses? How do we ensure that the women who before now dry fish with their flared gas, because many of us don't know that it is part of the things that we need to engage on. Because when the gas is no longer being flared, what happens? It means that those women who used to sit around and put their fish there, go to sleep with the hope that the flare is going to help them to dry the fish, definitely is going to also affect their businesses. Have we ever thought about that? How much of that engagement? People may think it doesn't matter. After all, we are talking of something that is cleaner, that is healthier, so they should be happy. But the question is, how does that woman know very well that what she is doing is not healthy, and that he has a better alternative. So are we looking at all those issues that will come? Because if you don't, maybe someday you see people, gathering in their thousands to say, look, you have eroded our businesses, we no longer have the income, then you need to start paying royalties or paying compensations. And that may also begin to affect our investment opportunities. How do we ensure that Nigeria can use its crude to diversify into cleaner energy without carrying the burden of overloaded debt burden, which those agitating for us to fast-track our energy transitions are no longer also supporting? These are questions that we need to begin to look at. We all know that Nigeria plans to use this gas, like I said before, for the transition that we're all looking into. But to get to net zero emissions, experts have said or predicted that we need about $1.9 trillion to reach this goal, or to meet this goal, or to achieve the goal. This includes an additional $410 billion above the projected annual spending, translating to about $10 billion annually. With this type of heavy capital layout and the defunding of fossil fuel projects, inability to optimally meet our production quota for various reasons, sliding naira against the dollar, sabotaging of oil installations, high debt profile. If we aggregate all this together, plus the fact that we don't have the money, then we are at a disadvantaged position, therefore, to begin to see what we can do in getting to net zero by 2060. And the reason this is important is that we've had several projects in time past. If we can still remember, water for all, is it by 2000? Health for all in so and so, housing for all, and so on and so forth. Education for all. Yes. Don't worry. So we all have all this for all, and for all. But the question is, how many of the for all have we been able to achieve within the time frame given to all these projects? So these are some of the challenges that we have. But however, we are not fixated on that. And those who are going to contribute today are not also going to be doing things like blaming government, blaming us. No, we are here for the solutions. So we have between now and 2060, which gives us some good time to start thinking of what we want to achieve, how we want to achieve it. One of the things I was discussing with a colleague when we were standing there is that NLNG is the rule today. And we want to thank God for at least having this quality representation. Is NLNG also aware about what the implementers of the policy are doing? Because at the end of the day, you need NLNG to play a significant role, or all the gas producers to play a significant role. How are we synergizing to ensure that the plan is on course? Also very important is that we're in 2024 and our decade of gas plan and actions will just be about 6 years away. Starting from 2021, if I'm not mistaken. But how much of our intended aspirations have we met as at this particular time? It is not about blaming anybody, it's about saying that where are we? So that people can open up to us, talk to us, so that we can also, give them our own feedback. Because we are going to be talking to civil society organizations. We are also going to be talking to communities. How we can ensure that we support the policy framers, the networks of the policies, and even the government, the way it wants to lead the country towards the net zero. We all know that Nigeria has significant solar and wind energy potential, particularly in rural areas where hybrid energy systems can provide reliable power. But most of the time, what worries some of us is the fact that we are not looking inwards to see what we can do to turn our material resources or mineral resources or the human resource that we have into a very powerful tool that we can use, therefore, to attract things from the world. Rather, we are looking at begging for money to do A, B, C. I think where we are today in Nigeria is that we need to start refocusing on what the essential things are, reprioritizing some of our energy framework, right-sizing them, and making them perhaps a little smaller and in bits that we can complete within some time frame. So it is in the realization of this that we have invited some of our very big brains within the industry, the sharp people that are behind some of these policies, to come and share with us what the potentials are, what the challenges are, and where we can also, come in as a Nigerian foremost. Because the way things are going, if we look at the money we say we are going to spend to transit or to transition ourselves to that place that we want to be in 2060, is something that is a little bit huge. But we don't want to be frightened. Can we sit down to talk and see what we can do to right-size some of these policies? Can we sit down to discuss with ourselves and see what we can do, bring to table all those things that we need as ingredients to move the policies forward? The road might be rough and tough, but I think doing certain things rightly and changing the optics might help us develop a homegrown solution to our energy challenges. Some people may think it's not possible, but I believe it's possible. As of today, we are not meeting our optimum in our crude oil production. Why? What are we going to do about it? It is not America, US, or Russia that will help us do that. It is those of us within. I also believe that the people in this room can make the difference. All we need is a synergy amongst all the players. On our own, we have pledged to ourselves, and I think NRGI has done fantastically well in this by engaging civil society organizations, letting them know some of the things that we need to do as a people and as a country to support the energy transition program, and how we can benefit from our internally generated options towards this, our journey to net zero. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, mine is to welcome you and to let you know that Nigeria will overcome if only those of us in this room, and like every other, would talk to ourselves that every aspiration that we think about is possible. We think also that whatever we have in our books, if we are able to come together to right-size them, we have that strong belief that we shall overcome the challenges that we have. No other person is going to do it for us. Nigerians must be ready to help Nigeria survive. Nigerians must be ready to help Nigerians succeed. We cannot do that if we begin to look outside for help each time we talk about our development. It starts with the transparency in governance, accountability in governance, responsible leadership. So, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of my colleague, who is going to also speak shortly, I welcome you, and do please have a very, very beautiful and robust deliberations. Thank you.